We've already done the oath of office for the new members or everybody that's coming on board this term. So I'm going to go ahead and call for the Pledge of Allegiance. And the flag is located over there above Holly. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chris Buckman.
Here.
Brandon Earl.
Here.
Andrea Kreifels.
It's Andrea here.
Andrea, thank you. Jason Newberry.
Here.
Deanna Garver.
Here.
Tom Henning.
Here.
Pat Zika.
Here.
Okay. Welcome aboard to the new board members. Adoption of the agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Moving on. Recognition of patrons and staff. Talked to Adam earlier. As you might look around the room and notice he's not with us tonight. He is tested positive for COVID, so he's going to stay away for the time period. So, but we did not have anybody sign up as far as patrons and staff to talk to. So moving on to discussion items. First thing on the agenda is the WRC parking lot. And Cody White is here to kind of give us a few little details on that, kind of give us a little background on it. So Cody?
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. WRC parking lot is something that WRC and the city have been talking about for a couple of years now. Back in 2015, when our addition happened, our fitness center and meeting rooms and offices and whatnot, we had some rock brought in. Obviously that deteriorates over time. The city's working as well. Bringing in crushed asphalt. We've done that a couple times. Jeremy Jones, I've worked with on that. Obviously, there's a lot of traffic through in and out of there on a daily basis, and we were looking at an option for more permanent parking in there. So formally, we started talking last spring. Some things got set in motion. There were some bids that came back, that were sent out and came back. Ultimately, with me discussing with the WRC board, there was a range that we would like to have been comfortable with and payment-wise for a year. The city, along with Impact Bank, is graciously willing to help us with this project. With our 2014 is what it is, 2014 series bonds that we're able to use for the addition to the rec center. Part of the process is me coming to the school board, with the school board being the taxing authority for budget authority for the rec center. We needed the school board's approval for that. So I'm here tonight. We're following the same steps. Change shields, during the paperwork that would have approval from the city council, which we have obtained, the WRC board, which we have attained, and I'm here tonight asking you guys. Basically, it's just to keep you in the loop on how taxpayer dollars are being spent on our side of it. So, Impact Bank has worked with us on a 10-year loan. It is going to be the sublease through the city. Payments are, we wanted to be in that $8,000 range per year, and we were able to accomplish that. We are at just about $7,700 a year. So there's an official breakdown. I can send paperwork over for you guys to have with physical copies and whatnot. But basically, I'm just here for blessing on it or approval. So.
Any questions for Cody on any of that? Technically it's in our discussion items, but that's always up to the board whether we want to move forward on something that's in a discussion item or if we can let it soak till the next meeting. So,
and it is concrete, not asphalt.
I guess along those lines, are you under any kind of time constraints on this? I mean, are you needing the board to make a decision immediately, or?
Time-wise, yeah, I mean, there's, the bid that's out there is through APAC here in town.
Okay.
And they have it where they want to start in March. So, I have had this, we got these back in November, attended the city council, obviously, rec center one meeting last month. So, just taking the proper steps and
Okay.
go from there.
I move we approve the WRC parking lot.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and
Second.
we'll give Brandon his first second there. Any discussion on that? Any further discussion on that? Good, seeing none, so let's vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. Okay,
I'm looking at you like, why don't you do it?
looks like you got parking lot, good.
Thank you. I will add that, there will be, who's the official signer for the school board?
I guess that would be me.
Okay, so I will get with, you with the shade, so.
Yep, I think you know where to find me.
So there's the, you and representative from the city and representative from the school, or sorry, rec center board, so
Don't run off, I think you're on this next one too, so.
I'm coming back.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Dave.
you, appreciate it.
The next item on our discussion items is the Hibbs Hooten bathroom project. This is, something was brought to us, I think, the last meeting at the middle school. Kind of for this discussion, Chris was there. I think we've got some more participants, Jeremy and Jones with the cities here, and Cody's here maybe to shed some more light on it. Thought Luke was gonna be here too, but Luke may not be able to make it, so. Guys, if you want to step up and kind of give us some background on it.
Sure, thank you for your time. That sounded like a little bit of discussion last month and maybe some questions, so try to make ourselves available to answer any of those questions that you have. Several years ago, the city started talking about this project, new restrooms at the Hibbs Field in Sellers Park to do away with the old ones under the seating. They're original with the stadium, 1955 vintage probably. They're non-ADA compliant, so our plan is to go outside of the confines of the current structure and put new restrooms, male, female restrooms. They would have more stalls in each of those, be ADA compliant. The first year of funding from the city, we got $30,000 with $30,000 the second year of funding. And by that time, a couple of things had happened. Park department, who typically had been building our restroom facilities, was downsized from 4 full-time staff to 3, which essentially took that ability of ours to build in-house. Prices also went up more than what we expected, so that project had been sitting there for a few years, basically stagnant. Chris Craig and basically representing Wellington Baseball and some other interests here in town, came to the city and offered his services as contractor to finish that project for us. We have an estimate of about $90,000 to $95,000. In doing so, we also discussed basically a phase 2 of that project, which would be take the existing restrooms and tear them out and expand the concession area into there, effectively giving about twice the space. So we would like to proceed with that. Currently, the city has just under $58,000 put towards this project. There's been outside donations of a little over $26,000. We have just over $84,000. And then you may be aware of the recent ARPA funds that came out. That has been discussed with the council in a work session, so that no official decision could be made by the governing body, but they have stated that they would like to save some of those ARPA funds for this project. So what we're looking for is if there's any interest either on the school's part or on WRC's part. We're just getting funding together. At this point, we are proceeding with the restroom project. What we would like to do is hopefully have that complete or near complete by first game of baseball season, late March, early April. Weather's gonna have to cooperate a little bit, but I think we can get a good start on that. The concessions would probably be after the baseball season, later in August, September time period, and then be ready for the 2023 season. So, be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions on that?
Since it's not ADA compliant and you're gonna make it ADA compliant, or is there grants or something you can get through the government for that kind, I don't know, for that kind of thing? I'm just curious.
I'm not aware of too many ADA grants out there, at least not of this size. The size and confines of what's there now does not allow us to make them ADA. Not to mention just the years of being used as a restroom with concrete block and concrete that is taken on that aroma. And we're going to be required to tear a lot of that out, maybe cut the floor out, remove the cinder blocks. Some of that can just be sealed up. Chris can probably speak a little more direct to that, but by the time you do a lot of that stuff, we didn't have enough space to really get our ADA compliance. With some of the events, maybe not so much here recently, but we have had events there that those facilities were not, there just wasn't the number of stalls in those events we do need some. I think we're getting 1 or 2 extra stalls in each of those restrooms also, so we're able to enlarge them.
So they're gonna be where the existing ones are?
They're just going to be outside at the chain link entry gate. We're coming just outside there. If you remember kind of where the berm is and the rocks, the large stones, we're going right on there. The utilities, water, electric, and sewer are all within about 25 feet of there. Other things to go along with that, we're going to try to get all the wiring underground, not have overhead wires out there, and new concrete from the back side, essentially, the east side of these restrooms, all the way up to the building, the actual stands. A lot of that is kind of piecemealed in. We've got a little bit of asphalt, we've got concrete, we have grass. Just try to spruce up that entire front area along with this.
So Jeremy, your 95,000 estimate, that's phase one, that's not, or is that including the concession too?
That is phase one for the restrooms. The concession estimate is 40 to 45,000. We'd be looking at about $140,000 total project.
What would it take to make them ADA compliant? I mean, you're saying you can't make them compliant because there's not enough room?
So you need 5 feet of turning radius anywhere you're in there without obstructions. In order to do that, you essentially have to take out, and you have a better answer for this. I know the men's, when you walk in, there's a partition wall there. That would have to come out. You'd make it a single user facility. Then you could make it ADA. I forget a little bit how the women's, I think it may be the same way. You'd have to remove an interior wall to be able to take the ADA barriers out of the way, and then.
But you're not using those, right?
Well, correct.
You're completely moved, so the new ones will be
Yes,
ADA compliant?
correct.
Okay, well, that's where I got mixed up.
I'm sorry.
I thought you said they won't be because of space, but,
You guys get paperwork from?
Yeah, we still have your drawing.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
I just misunderstood
20 by
you, so,
24.
yeah, I just misunderstood. I thought you
Okay.
said that there wasn't room for the new ones. And I didn't notice where they were going. I'm sorry.
Jeremy, how much are you looking for the school to get to this project?
Oh. Any amount of funding would definitely be appreciated. Maybe 20 to 25,000.
And that's for phase 1 and 2, or just for phase 1?
Well, that would, phase 1 and 2. I'd like to say just towards the completion of the entire project. And funding wise, the way we're doing this is in talking with Chris, all of the funds will go to the city of Wellington, and then we will pay for materials. We will pay all of the contractors directly. Chris will act as a general contractor as far as the physical work. We will be paying 100% of the bills. A couple different reasons. It's just a little easier when one entity has control of all of the invoices, and then for accounting purposes, that we can track the incoming and outgoing funds.
And Chris, you're gonna do this through your labor?
My contract would be, or I'm gonna forego that. Now, if my crew works there,
Right.
doing the part of the project.
But you,
Yeah. But commercial work is in 15%.
Yep.
This project has been needed for a long time. So we're strongly about helping get it done.
Well, I think we use it all the time, and we're not gonna stop using it. And it is a huge embarrassment, huge, what we have right now.
So Jeremy, so the 58,000 is the city, right?
Right.
And the 25 is
Grand.
26,000.
the trust fund
Well, yeah,
and others,
anonymous donation.
okay.
Well, it says grand right here.
Cody, not to put you on the spot, but I mean, the concession stand piece of it is heavy WRC.
We are definitely a beneficiary of the whole thing. Excuse me. Chris did come to me and ask me. I told him, I said, once we know what all is gonna be set in stone, I can put him on the agenda for the WRC meeting. I can't answer the question.
Sure, right. But there could be potential funding
Yes.
WRC wise to help out. May not be extreme interest in the restroom part of it, but definitely the concession stand part of it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's more of the concessions itself or even any additions that we put inside of it.
Good, thanks. Sorry, Pat. I just
Oh, that's okay.
had a couple
If I
other
can
questions.
remember what I was gonna say.
So then, along those lines, I think the city ARPA funds would basically make up the difference of where we're at the end of all of these discussions and see where we are. And then we'll finish that up at the end with the ARPA funds.
Okay, I'll finish. I think we have to put something in because we use them all the time. They're a huge embarrassment. It's not very often someone's gonna donate their fees. And after a lengthy discussion with Chris at Orson the other day, this is the last time he's gonna help, so it's now or never.
You know, like we
And I don't blame him one bit. He's done a whole lot for this school. I certainly have said 1,000 times, I'm not gonna vote for one penny until we get locker rooms. But with this much money being somebody else, and we have that considerably small amount, I think I'd like to just go ahead and make a motion and approve this for the guys that get started.
We could get a dollar amount.
Yeah, you have to.
last week, Adam said 25,000 was like 13.9% of the estimated project. But, that was.
So that's what
You have to put the dollar amount.
I wasn't making a motion, I was just
Oh, I'm
throwing that
sorry.
out there. If anybody else has some more
Are you-
discussion.
I thought you
will
were making a motion.
No, I
I'm
will
sorry.
make a motion, but
I'm
I didn't
sorry.
know if there's more discussion.
I make a motion that we approve the requested $25,000 amount for this.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, so let's vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll keep you guys tabs on how it's going.
It's always good to see, I mean, you're talking 3 entities coming together to get a project done. That's good to see. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next item on the discussion items is the football stadium, the bleachers and renovation there. This is also kind of a follow-up from our last meeting, I believe, yes. Talking about the ADA seating at the football field. If you recall, Adam kind of Stated that our ADA seating is kind of in the center, kind of 50-yard line area, which is great seating, but that also kind of separates them from the rest of the student body, which isn't always where they want to be. So, just kind of as a discussion item, kind of to get the new board members kind of up to speed on that, but obviously if there's any discussion we need to have on it, now's the time to have it, so. Any thoughts on that?
Is Chris helping with that?
I do not believe so. The bids that we received, again, the company that did the last workforce there came in significantly lower, and that's mainly because they did the last work there. So it's easier for them to kind of adapt to their own product versus a new company coming in and doing that work. So, if you look at the aerial photography of the stadium, there probably is going to have to be some additional concrete added. Because if you extend that out, you're probably not going to be able to get around that. Be the south end, it might get a little tight there, so you may have to do a little additional concrete work too. So, I believe so.
Where
So
would
anyway,
it,
I just didn't want people to get blindsided by maybe a little additional concrete work in there. But
so more concrete work out in front of the current concrete?
yeah, it kind of, if I remember right from the aerial photography, it kind of cuts off once you get past the ADA portion that's out. It kind of cuts off and cuts back to the normal walkway.
Mhm.
Well, if you extend that ADA portion down further north and south, you're probably going to need to extend that additional sidewalk down also.
I'm not very good at visual things, so, will that cut in, I don't think the cheerleaders were considered when that concrete was all put in there in the first place, because it's really crunched them to where they used to be.
Sure.
What will this do to cheerleading space?
Couldn't answer that. I mean, it's going to be additional concrete. I think it's going to have to be, or otherwise you're not going to be able to get around that into the bleachers. But yeah, that's definitely something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I don't want to just do it and not consider that at all.
Well, it is just a discussion item, so we don't
Yeah,
necessarily.
I know,
have to
I'm
vote
just
on
throwing it out there too.
So,
Is there a time limit on these bids?
I didn't see one, but I wasn't necessarily looking for a time limit either.
One
Chris,
of
so.
them, the UT had 30 days, but I have contacted all of them, and they said they're still good. Of course, with the delay, if we keep pushing this, then who knows if the price is going to go up. But the original installer of the original platform, they'll go with what we have, and will not increase that.
Yeah, the Hanson, I just saw it, it says the quote is valid for 7 days, so, wow. But the one that came in the lowest that did the work, I
Yeah,
didn't
they all
see.
have kind of a stipulation in there that with the cost increase.
Right.
they're gonna be affected.
So Pat, I think with I'll just pull up some aerial photography.
Yeah.
Look there. And it's not gonna be much additional concrete, so it would basically make the south end look just like the north end in front of the seating.
You're just extending it south, it's not gonna
Right.
extend any further to the east.
Right.
Yeah, and that's gonna be
So
very.
there won't be any more concrete to the east,
No.
Right, right.
No.
it's just gonna go be
If
concrete
you
to the
look,
south.
I've got it pulled up here, if you look at that, you can see that strip of concrete right there? That concrete's just gonna extend to match this probably, more than likely.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no.
So it's
okay.
not gonna extend this way,
Yeah.
it's just gonna go
Okay,
this
I
way.
just wanted to make sure, because I don't think when that concrete was put in, they were considered, not that, I don't know, how it would be considered, but it did
Sure.
cramp the normal procedure for that. So yeah, I just want to make sure. Thanks.
So, I'm afraid with when they put 7 days on these bids, it's impossible for us. So I think what we need to do, if we do decide to approve this, we need to have a stipulation that says, if it's still this amount, we go ahead and approve it. And if it's more than that, I guess bring it back to us next month, as long as I see to get this rolling.
Kelly, how tight do you think they're gonna hold us to that 7-day window?
7 days, that's not very big.
But depending on which one you go with, but the DG, JD, they'll be pretty close.
Yeah, they're the cheapest, and they're actually, yeah, I didn't realize that, I scrolled down too far.
When will the
So,
work be done?
Kelly, she asked when the
I
work,
didn't hear.
when the
Oh, I'm
work
sorry.
would be done.
When will this be done?
Yeah.
They're hoping to start on it as soon as possible, whenever they get us on the schedule, get the supplies in. So have it ready for football season.
Okay, I just have to say this because I've got to throw the locker rooms in there because I keep saying for 6 years now, we need the locker rooms, but kids come first right now and I know several kids that can't go and sit with the student body and that's not right. So I make a motion, we approve this for the bids that are in right now and if they're different,
The bid from DG.
DG, yeah, right, that's what I was gonna say.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
Nope.
Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. There you go, Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Farley, too.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so next item on our agenda is the safety and operation plan. Again, that's just kind of a placeholder in case there's any discussion that we need to have on that, since it's kind of a rapidly changing item. So we said we were gonna put it on there, so it is back on there. So any discussion on the safety and operation plan? Sure, everybody saw high school and middle schools require a mask right now, numbers are ticking up. If you've been out and about, numbers are ticking up all over the place. Restaurants, staffing is getting tough. Talked to Adam today, we're having some staffing issues, or potential staffing issues coming at us in the district too, so. Any other discussion on the operation plan? Yes, Polly, you got anything to add to that?
They're working on changes, I don't know if you've heard from the CDC, they've had changes, so ADHD is working on a plan to make those changes. We haven't gotten all of those yet, so we'll get them all to you as we do. And then Wednesday, they're working on the policy to change the test to stay, and they'll get that to us. So when we get all of that together, between the quarantine changes and the returning from isolation and all of that, we'll get all that together and get you a copy of everything.
So that's reference the 5-day, 10-day thing? Is that
Yes.
kind of what you're talking about?
And then also our test to stay that we do, that's what they're gonna get to us on Wednesday. So we'll have all of that together, hopefully by then, that's what the health department is telling us.
Any truth to the rumor that testing supplies may be running short?
There is an extreme shortage of testing supplies, that's part of why they're doing a change in the test and stay. I don't have any idea what that will be, our numbers today of positive cases was pretty high. So I called to see if we could get some more tests, and that, she had told us that they were running short, so she was kind of talking to me about how to change it, or if we're gonna change it, but at the moment, we're waiting to see what Wednesday shows and what they wanna do before we try and change anything.
So currently, we're still at the initial 10 days, is that right, or 7 days?
We're, for what?
I don't know, they change it all the time, so
So,
refresh me, I guess.
so if you're talking about testing, we test for 7 days from your contact
Okay,
to a positive case.
okay,
As far as when you're in isolation from onset of symptoms, you're in isolation for 10 days at the moment. That's part of also what's changing, but there's a lot of stipulations that go with that. So we don't have all of that ironed out yet. That's another part of what we're working on to get that changed too.
Holly, not to throw you on the spot, just, do you think the current plan that we have, that they set in place is still good the way we're doing it? Do you recommend, while we have this discussion, to change? I mean,
Which part of it?
well,
Like the testing or?
my thing is we have high school and middle school on masks and not elementary schools right now, which I don't know what the percentage is with kids that have older siblings that are possibly gonna bring it home and spread it even worse, but is that
I
working?
personally think masks help. I think that it's difficult to have one school in mask and one not. However, if I can have one school in mask versus no school in mask, I think that that's better than not having anybody. So it's worked better. than not having anybody.
Any other discussion on that? Seeing none, I guess we're moving on as is for now. Ollie,
And we'll get that information to you as we get more of it ironed out.
Okay.
I've gotten some, but I have not gotten it all, and I haven't had any time to prove it today.
So I guess I'm more curious, if you get a change of that information, is that something that you're gonna wait until the next board meeting to bring that to us and
No,
make those changes?
we'll get it to you as soon as I get it all. Like I said, the health department told me they should get more on that test to stay on Wednesday. And usually it's not until late afternoon, so I don't know, it may be Thursday before I would get it. And then when I can get to it, I'll get with Adam and.
So we will be changing our plan to go along with those guidelines. Is that correct?
I will get the information up to you guys.
Is that what you're saying, Jason? We
Yeah,
won't,
that's kind of what I was asking.
yeah, the changes won't be able to be made until a month from now unless, if we have to approve them, which I guess we would.
I thought we had actually gave the administration the ability to roll that, and we kind of oversee that. Isn't that how we?
I thought that was how.
Okay, that's what because I
I
knew that was Jason's question, didn't quite come across that
And
way.
we're following CDC guidelines, and that's who's making the change, so. Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay. The restructuring piece. So, again, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, that was just kind of in there, it's just kind of a,
Yes, so
follow-up.
there's a one pager in there, just the data that's collected, so that our new board members can have a chance to kind of get up to speed with what's going on, and then your next board meeting, start talking about which way you want us to go, researching details for that.
Earlier when I talked to Adam about this, I mean, obviously, there are some pieces of it that I just don't like, I'll just be upfront. So if that's kind of the consensus of the board, then there's really no reason for staff to waste their time researching, going down a path that we're not gonna go down in the first place. So I think that's kind of the reason for getting information out in front of everybody, so we can kind of maybe narrow this down. They got a lot of legwork ahead of them anyway.
Do you, can you share that so we can, or you want to discuss that now or?
We can, yeah, I mean.
Well, the things that, because like you said, probably some
Well,
of us
it's
have-
just, there's pieces that have been out across the public, like, are we gonna go to grade centers, or are we gonna go to, we're gonna shut down this elementary, we're gonna move kids from one school to the next school. There's a lot of moving pieces on that. But if there's something that the board as a whole,
Right,
it's
that's what I
just
mean.
dead set not wanting, then we need to make sure and communicate that to staff so they don't spend a lot of time doing it. This is gonna be a big move, big lift anyway. I mean, we're talking 23, 24 school year probably.
At least a year out.
Oh, there's gonna be more than that, I would think. I mean, so when do we want to discuss that, When do we as a board want to talk about what pieces we like and don't like and
I guess my personal feeling on that is we have two new board members that haven't been involved in any part of this discussion, so I would like to see them get a little bit up to speed
so
as far as some of the ideas that are out there.
wouldn't that be through discussion? I mean, just reading it, I would catch on.
Probably something we need to have a work session.
Like a
Yeah,
work
that's what I
session,
meant, that's what I have.
Yeah, I just thought you meant they're just gonna read about it and say, oh.
No, I think we have a work session about it, just, we can't really, it's not fair to them to throw this
The
out.
reason Adam kind of wanted it on the agenda, when we talked about this, was just to kind of get it out in front, so that we're at least thinking about it, the different pieces of it, so. Go ahead.
It didn't look, unless I'm wrong, it doesn't look like we gave the community all the information with percentages and things that we got. Were we not gonna share all that, or, I just had some complaints the people that were at the high school that night, felt like the information got put out afterwards wasn't anything new, really.
I can't speak to that, I was at another meeting that night, so I didn't make that one, so.
So the research that we did is just based on the surveys and kind of compiled that all together and tried to put it out just in simple terms so that we could kind of see where we're at on that. Is there a specific part?
No, like it was just I kind of can see why they thought that. It was just a general repeat of what we have been discussing. No real data from it. Anybody else?
I haven't heard those complaints.
Yeah,
Definitely something we can look into.
yeah. And there's lots
this
of,
is-
yeah. I just think a
This
work
is big
session would be
decision.
great.
We wanna make sure everybody's got the information and making informed decisions.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
make it.
a work session would be really great, I think.
Right.
Anybody else?
Okay, any other discussion on that? Oh, visual aids, huh?
So we will be planning a work session.
I think we need to.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like I said, this is a long game, not a short game, so, maybe, we could go ahead and pencil something in as far as a work session now, if you wish. Or we can kind of wait for the next board meeting and kind of go from there.
I think now would be good.
Maybe, I'd like to have something before the next meeting, just so that we could, like, going through the restructuring plan, like the presentation that we received in our packet. It was a list of common questions, but there's no answers. And I think that's where the community's at. It's like, what are the answers to our questions? Because we've been sitting here for a month and a half with no answers. And I think we're at a point now, like you said, we need to decide what we want to do as a board and what we don't want to do. And I think we also need to evolve the presentation with that. If we're not going to do some parts, we need to take that out, just so the community's not worried about something that we don't want to do. I just feel like we're just at a place where, we're going to have to get into the weeds and answer those questions and make a decision.
So, I mean, we can go ahead and, well, everybody has access to calendars and stuff like that, so why don't we kind of look over dates, and maybe I can get some dates sent out to everybody and see if we can kind of get a consensus. Does Mondays work best for everybody? On the same time, same place type thing? Okay, sure. So over the next, couple weeks, maybe sending out an email or something, or have staff send out an email, we'll try to get a date. That work?
Yep.
Okay. So I gotta try to get back on my agenda here. Okay, next thing on the agenda, under discussion items, is the solar panel project. So I'll kind of take this is, I'm fairly heavily involved in this. So I brought this to Adam probably 6 to 8 months ago. I probably should have brought it to him before that. This is a project through Kansas Power Pool. They will basically pay for the equipment. It's kind of a joint effort. They pay for the equipment to put up solar panels, an array similar to that one that you see there. That's City of Winfield. They've already done this project through Kansas Power Pool. City Crews would take care of building it, or putting it all together. The other piece of it that the community, city, school district has to put in play is the location. So my personal feelings on it is the energy that's generated from it is negligible. It is more of a education piece than anything. It's to start that question. It's to have people ask, hey, what's this solar array doing? We could also tie it back to the classroom. So there's some education pieces that we could do there. So the kids could actually log in and see how much energy it's generating, how it's affected by the clouds coming over, all that fun stuff. And it wouldn't necessarily, no matter where we put it, whoever we give access to it. So if we If we choose to put it, I'm just throwing this out here, this isn't necessarily where it's gonna go, or go at all. But if we choose to put it at the high school, elementary schools could still log in and get that data and kind of see, use it within the classrooms to kind of see if there's anything they could do for science curriculum or whatever. So the big question is, first off, is there interest of the board to participate in something like this? Then the next question would be location.
How many square foot are you talking?
Whatever that is, Tom.
Right, that's what I was trying to visualize.
It's not huge. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most eye appealing,
Right,
so that's,
and it's something that if you commit to putting it there, the infrastructure, the electrical connections of that, you're pretty much married to. It's not something you wanna say, oh gosh, we wanna put a road here, or another ag building or
Right.
something.
right.
Now we gotta relocate this thing, that's actually pretty major.
So that's where I put a little note to myself, is maybe this is something these village facilities can, to kind of maybe evaluate, but before it gets there, we kind of need to decide if we're even want to play.
What's the cost of the school district, anything?
Cost of the school district would be the location.
Just
the
the
ground,
location?
The ground. City staff will participate in installation and putting it in. City staff will probably take care of the maintenance within the chain link, because I don't want just everybody getting inside that chain link. So there's gonna have to be, again, it's one of those partnership things. There's a lot of pieces of this that have to come together, but if there's no interest, then we can focus on other things. So just kind of trying to see if there's any interest in the board or doing anything like this or not. To be honest, when I drove into the school this morning, my thought was kind of the south end of the practice field that we're in. So when you're driving in, because it has to face south. If it doesn't face south, we're not going to get it. But then I kind of thought, the north end of Kennedy, butting up against the chain link, shining to the south might not be bad either. So, just, but if there's no interest of the board, then we can put it back.
Is this something that's, ongoing, or is it just a time limit, you can have it for 2 years?
That's a good question. No, it's once it's built, it's here.
It's there.
It will kind of be the city's to maintain. So that cost wouldn't be the district. A little bit of that's gonna come into play as far as how it ties to the grid. If it ties on the backside of the school meter, then there may be a little bit of cost sharing that has to happen there. If it ties on the other side, then it's gonna be basically energy to the entire community. So it'd be helping on the street lights, it'd be helping on all that stuff to the entire community. So it'd just be located on the property.
Would we be able to add on to this? Is that something that we need to look at for a location, or it's just
Potentially.
one and done?
Potentially. No, KPP funding for it is probably.
Right, no, I'm
one
talking about the moving forward, if you like the idea.
Yeah, sure.
So, when we're looking at the location, you might want to look
Right.
at expansion.
But realistically, money in usually doesn't equal money out on those things.
I would agree wholeheartedly.
And on top of that, then you're maintaining it, you're tying up
It's an
labor.
education piece.
Yes, that's
In my
exactly it. It's not a money-making thing.
So this one here that you're seeing, and I'm sorry for anybody from Winfield that's watching. Great project, but it's at their power plant or near their power plant. And it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Nobody even, I'm sure lots of us have probably visited Winfield here within the last 6 months. This thing's been up for over a year and a half, I think. We probably didn't even know it was there. That I think they're missing the intent of it, because it's not there to generate energy. It's there as an education piece to try to spark a little interest, no pun intended. Just to try to get people interested in solar and see what it will do. So that's where I thought with the school district kind of partnership might come into play. So yeah, to your point, Tom, one of the staff members of KPP just did a ROI on the system at Winfield, and it's literally 15, 17 years out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a feel good and educational piece.
I guess my personal opinion, I'm not, if the other members are for it, that's fine. Just my personal opinion, if we want to be an education piece, let's get the 2 square foot ones and put them in the, let the kids play with those outside. And it's my personal opinion.
Okay. You don't necessarily have to make a decision on it. I just wanted to kind of put it out there for everybody to think about. So this money available through KPP is not going to be available forever. It was actually budgeted, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So eventually what's not used is just going to get pulled back in. So can't wait forever, but it's not a rush thing either. So just do some thinking about it. If you have any questions, you all know where to get hold of me. So.
It might be good to talk to some teachers that you think, might use it and see what they think, see if it's something that they could incorporate in their classroom.
That's what I was thinking, the same thing, if there's even an interest in schools to want to do it.
I think it sounds great, but, see if there's interest in the classroom for people to use it.
Next thing on our agenda is the data dashboard.
Okay,
Hand
for-
that off to Dr. Kern.
Yes, for the last few years, the data has been our #1 board goal. And we want the ability to be able to look at data across the district and to use data to make data-driven decisions for each child's success. And so we have found a company called Precision Analytics that has created a data dashboard. And the one that I'm going to show you is just a sample dashboard, so that you can kind of see what it's going to be like. So this is just these aren't real names or real schools, but this is going to give us an idea of what this could look like. So for each student, we would be able to go in and look at a student roster from a school and be able to see how many students are in tier 3, how many students are in tier 2 or tier 1, simply by looking, they'll color code that for us. We can also then put it side by side by attendance. We can put it by school, by classroom, and that way we can see any trends that might be happening across the district. This will also help us to know if our curriculum is working or if we need extra help in any area. And it is also, we're also able to look at behavior data on this, truancy, and be able to look at this all at the same time so that we can see any trends that are going on across the district. So as you can see, this has different incidents below, but up above, I can go in, I can sort this by school, by grade. School. Incidents here. Get rid of that. can create custom reports by school, by grade. By race, by gender, and to help us to make decisions across the district. So as you can see, it is going to be an amazing tool that we can use in so many ways. Right now, we're having to pull from FastBridge, state assessments, ACT. We're having to pull from our Infinite Campus and bring all of these together and compare those reports. And I know our principals do this all of the time, and when they do that, it takes lots of time out of their day. So having something like this will make it a lot easier. So we're really excited for that to be finished, which should be finished this year.
Who inputs the data on it?
So Precision Analytics does that, and actually we do it, they just pull it all together. They're creating the dashboard that kind of pulls that information together for us.
So what would a teacher do?
So actually, they would get the data from the principal, because of FERPA, only the principals right now would be able to pull it and then send it to those classrooms, because they wouldn't be able to have the access to individual student data district-wide, only their class. But we could pull data, district-wide data that doesn't have individual names and send that out, and we can use it for PD, we can use it for making individual decisions, but the access to that is the big part, so.
Can you tell me what of mine, if I'm a student in 8th grade, what of mine is gonna go in it? What of my school, what scores?
So
did I
you'll have your FastBridge scores, your state assessment scores, and your, if you're taking the ACT, that'll be in there, all of your grades. So we can pull it by grades, we can sort it by, to find out if a student isn't eligible to play basketball, we can pull and see which students have an F. It just sorts it for us in an easier way.
You might have answered, I asked this question, but I'm not sure if I understood your answer. So who's gonna put in my grades? Who's gonna put in my scores?
The same people that do it
But you said the
already, the
principals.
teachers do it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I meant. I
Yeah,
said,
it's
what do
just
teachers
pulling,
do?
it's pulling from all of these different
Right.
systems and creating a
But
dashboard.
I thought you said earlier when I asked that the principals do, and I'm like,
The principals have access to all of the data in their building.
but teachers individually put in every score, grade,
Yes, they
that kind.
do what they
Okay, that was
always
my
do.
question,
Yes,
who does
yes.
that?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna ask a question. What is the difference between this database and Summit? Taking all the information and doing what it wanted to do, what's the difference? The reason why I'm bringing up Summit is because that's what that was as well. It was a database holding all of our children's information, and it was selling it. So what's the difference?
There is a big difference because this isn't a curriculum company. This is just taking what we already have and creating a dashboard for us to look at depending on how we want to see
I
it.
know, but we're talking about children's behaviors, we're talking about very personal information, race. So I just wanna know,
Which our
Who
student
is-
information system already has that.
I understand that, but when I'm asking what's the difference in this database compared to Summit, like, how can we trust this one better than we trust the Summit? To not sell our children's information.
Well, FERPA laws and
Well,
contracts.
Summit did that too. I'm not trying to be argumentative with you, but
Yeah.
Summit brought up the whole FERPA thing as well.
But I don't believe they sold our information. I mean, we just follow the law and we make sure that we have the paperwork and that to make sure that our information is just our information.
It's just very private information, and I just want to make sure that it's protected. And that's why I'm asking about this company, what is the difference?
Well, I guess I could get that back to you next time
Okay.
and totally, identify any things that, any ways that it's different. But this is something that we have been seeking to get. so
No,
that
no,
we
I
can-
understand, like, I understand it would be awesome to be able to click on something and have the whole thing roll out, I get it, but yeah, I thought I was under the impression we were gonna do that in-house. Or, like, we were going to figure that out before you were gonna,
Yes, we were trying to figure that out in-house, and it's just, it takes so much time that by the time you get everything together, it's changed already. So we need something that kind of shows us in real time how our kids are doing and how we are doing, so that we can make those changes to our instruction or to our teaching, or if maybe we see a student's been doing wonderful clear through 4th grade, and then all of a sudden a drop. So that brings us, a red flag, knowing something's up, and we need to kind of find out what's going on with the student to help them get back on track. It helps us bring that triangulation of data together to make sure that we're not missing. What's the cost? So the cost is approximately, I have to get you the exact amount, it would be about $10,000 a year.
They're hosting this, so
And they're putting it together, but as far as hosting it, it should be hosted by us. Brought back to our server.
Yeah, that's where my question is kind of along Deanna's lines. My fear of this, I love the idea, I like how you can just you can make custom reports. But let's pretend Precision Analytics gets bought out by Facebook. Now they've got all of our data. So if it's not gonna be them, they're just actually generating the front end. We don't upload the information, it's gonna be hosted at USD 353. That's a little bit different story. But I do have a fear of also we find out 2 years down the road that there's a better system, but that we're tied to them and now we gotta start over. So that's some of the questions I would have is who would actually be hosting the data and how often do you purge that data? I like what I looked at. I actually logged into the demo and played around with it. So
yeah, it's not actually like backed up and saved. It's just real time.
yes.
So
Does Infinite Campus do any of this? Because I know Infinite Campus does more than we use it for.
right.
But
So-
does it do something like this?
What I need to show you is the difference between what we get out of Infinite Campus and what we get here. Because we can pull some of this out of Infinite Campus, and then we have to pull it a different way out of FastBridge, and then we pull it a different way out of our state assessments and ACT. So all of these spreadsheets, it becomes like you have 4 different spreadsheets side by side that aren't color coded. They're sorted, but they're not color coded. So you're really having to dig in to see any differences and what's going on with that data. So this was one of the things when Adam and I went to the National Superintendent's Conference. That was the really big push for districts to be able to do this, to really make good decisions, because we have so many great things going on, but if we have anything that we're missing, it's really easy to miss it or miss a trend. And if we have something like this, then we're gonna be able to, make those changes a lot quicker before that isn't good anymore. But I can get you some examples of the differences and, kind of show you the differences between this and Summit and so forth.
Good discussion. I'm sure there's more than one vendor out there doing something like this, right, Kim?
Yeah, actually, I thought this was the one that we saw when we went to the conference, but it isn't. So I'm sure there are a few out there that are doing something like this.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Next item is the e-gaming. Jen, I think this is also yours, right?
Yes, so e-gaming, we talked about creating some e-gaming opportunities for our middle school, just to give them some more activities to do at the middle school level, and then also extending that to the high school level. And we've got bids from several places, but this one is the one with my arrow on it. Because actually, Two Trees and Shy are the ones that would be the lowest. And I've made an error on that, so, but I sent that in your update. And, but actually, they're all pretty close. And so I was hoping that we could try to find out between the ones that are offering the lowest amount, that we could see who can get it to us the quickest, since that seems to be the issue right now, is getting things in. And we would be starting, if we do this, we would be starting it in the fall of next year. So if we could get some of those materials in and have the summer to be able to put it all in place. And
Where's this money coming from?
We could use ESSER funds for social emotional. We could bring it under that. But when, before Wendy left, she was thinking we'd just taken it out of capital, but it would be just kind of figuring that out, where we wanted to take it.
Why wouldn't we just take it out of ESSER funds if we had the funds?
I think we should. I mean, we should have that amount unless she'd already bookmarked it for something else is the only thing. So we can
We
get
could
with
look
Darcy
into
and
that.
see if that's
So-
still in there.
So we're actually, this quote is for just the middle school, it's not gonna be for,
It would be for both.
For
So
both,
we would
okay.
just split what's on those,
okay,
not for each of them.
Is there any schools using any of them currently? Any schools using any of it currently?
No, this would be brand new for our district.
Yeah. But other schools?
yes,
other
yes,
towns around?
yes, there's actually, and what I'm really excited about this, just because of the scholarship availabilities for this. I mean, the quicker we can get this rolling, the better chance there's gonna be kids that, I think I've seen where Hutch JUCO just won the national championship, what, 1 year? It's their first year for it. So,
Yeah, and we did a
I mean,
survey.
it goes into college too, so there's scholarships for this stuff, and you have kids that don't really wanna play sports, this is a good thing.
Did you ever go back and find out who's interested? Because-
Yes, we did a survey to find out how many kids would be interested, and gosh, I'm trying to think out of like, I don't know, I guess.
125 to
Thank you.
250.
Yeah, there
But
was,
wasn't that before?
I know I sent that out before.
Wasn't
Say
that
again? Yeah.
before?
125 to 250.
Yes,
Wasn't that before they didn't know at that time that they might not be able to play a sport that they're in? Right? The first time you presented it,
right.
You
It was
brought that
just
up,
a
so
survey
they-
to see who
some
could
of
be
these might,
interested.
some of these kids might be in a sport
Mhm.
and they would rather play their sport than this.
Yeah.
Right.
yes.
So I think
And
we
the
need to
good
get a
thing
better
is,
number.
it's fall and spring, so if you just play a fall sport, you could do it in the spring, or if you know, just wanted to
Yeah.
do one season or both seasons.
I think I'd like to, I'd like to see numbers with kids that know they'd have to give up a sport or a music, something that they do extracurricular that would interfere.
So how many numbers do you, I mean, what's your minimum before we do this? How many?
I personally don't want to jump into it right now, and if we can't use ESSER funds, I don't think, there's other things we need to spend money on.
Okay.
That's me personally. If we can use ESSER funds, pay for the whole thing,
I don't think we
Okay.
because when I did ask that earlier when the gentleman was here talking to us, I asked, how can we pay for it? And at that time, because I asked him specifically, can ESSER funds be used for this type of thing? And I was told, we were told yes, so
So,
that sounded like a good thing, but
yeah,
So am I correct in the $200,000 Chromebook grant that we got? It was $200,000 Chromebooks? That was I kind of look at this as, we got $200,000 we didn't spend. This could kind of come out of that.
But right now, we've taken the money out of general fund for the.
That's what I was
Chromebooks.
asking.
Well, we've taken that money out of general fund, and we plan to put that money back, right, with ESSER funds.
Right.
and
Right.
then we would have it available again. But the main thing that, I mean, you can look at it a few different ways, but one of the things that this would really help with is to get more kids involved in
I totally,
extracurricular.
I get that.
The kids that don't have anything else, and to help kids have a reason for keeping their grades up, so if they want to participate, then they would want to also make sure they're coming to school and keeping their grades up. So it's more than just a sport, another sport. It's helping our kids be involved, and that's another thing that our data can help us with too. Because we know that kids that are involved in sports come to school more regularly and end up having to keep their grades up. So that's kind of what we're after.
Yeah, I totally agree with those concepts.
Yeah, and we've had, we know that the middle school, especially sixth grade, doesn't have as many things to choose from to do.
Do you have interest for coaches? Has anybody said that they
Um,
want to do it?
There has been talk of people interested. We haven't, asked for coaches yet, but I don't foresee any problems with coach.
So it says there's 15, so 7 or 8 would go with one school and the others. And then that would be almost like a daily coaching thing if they're doing different sports, because if there are only 7 kids could be there at a time, let's say at the middle school, then would there be like 3 different sessions, or how would that work?
Personally, you probably know more about e-gaming than I do, but when they practice, they're not necessarily just practicing by themselves. I mean, they would have, just like in that presentation, they'd have other kids coaching them, and they would work on things, but like that. But I don't know, we would have to find out how they manage their time.
I think like Jason said at last meeting, a lot of that's gonna be not just game time, but strategy of how to play the game and what works
Yeah.
type stuff. So it's not, I
It could be
think,
one person playing and 5 of them watching.
well, that or they're talking about, and I don't know the games they play honestly, but it's like, this, whatever is better. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but,
Okay.
Yeah, some of them have.
the bishop's
have
better
really
than the knight
nice-
in this situation in chess, or, just, this is why you wanna do this, or this strategy works better when this.
So is your point that, I think,
I just want to make sure we have enough equipment.
right,
Because
if
I
we
mean,
got
right-
100 and some kids, which that may
Yeah,
be
okay.
high, that may be low.
Yeah.
We understand that, but if we got 15 computers, that's not gonna go very far.
I don't know, I remember them saying also that you don't necessarily have to practice some of those games on the high-powered ones. You can practice on something else that we have, available, and then on game day, they would be able to use but some games do require that one all the time, so we would have to decide what games we're gonna do too.
So how many coaches would it take, say for the middle school?
Probably one.
Just one?
You can also use some of your ESSER funds for your capital outlay stuff, like your window improvements, and then use this for capital. It's not as far as a stretch.
Okay.
Use it for what you say, I'm sorry.
You can use your, like, your ESSER funds for your window improvements and things like that, and then use your capital outlay for this. It kind of gives you funds there to use.
Frees up money.
Yes.
from the other side.
So I guess what I'm thinking is if we pull the trigger on this 15, and that puts, 15's a weird number because you're trying to split it, so 7 and 8, apparently, or 5 and 10, however the split works. The other thing about that is the split, it's somewhat mobile. If you have, 10 kids here, 5 here, and then next, you can it's pretty easy to move that stuff unless you have the square footage issue of where you're gonna put it. But if this thing takes off, I think we better be prepared to, you're gonna be turning kids away is what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, actually.
So I think we kind of go into this with the mindset of we try this for a semester and be prepared as quick as we can to react to grow it.
So Tom brings up a good point, location. I mean, what are we thinking on that, or is there?
We have some ideas, but the principals would decide that. I mean, the middle school has some extra space, and then, like they talked about in the presentation, having a class that's kind of a pathway class. Mrs. Case has expressed interest in that. We wouldn't have the class the first year, but we could add that later, but she wouldn't mind, having it in her classroom, but that's nothing to decided.
But right now, it would just be e-gaming, no curriculum.
Right.
Time frame on this? I mean, of course, the availability is always the question when we're talking about electronics.
I'd like to start in the fall if we could get it going.
And Ryan is he the one that's been actually getting the quotes?
Yes. He has familiarity with those machines and kind of knew what we were after, so.
And so that's the other thing, I don't see lead times. But the one I'm looking at,
Yeah,
there's multiple quotes.
it's probably done on purpose.
I get that. I guess that's what I'm afraid of, is I don't wanna, keep dragging this out and find out that, especially with the video card thing, that's.
So, if we could propose that we actually go with the 2 lowest and see which one could get it to us faster. Because really, the 2 lower ones, which are in your email, you can kind of see those 2 lower ones.
That was 2 trees, I believe.
Trees and shy.
Sure.
Yeah, SHI.
And,
$4 difference between,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so,
sorry.
and really,
I
there's,
just looked.
you could look at 4 different ones that are not that far apart, like 100.
So if you have more kids next year, you're talking the same amount next year to increase it for more players?
Well, we can kind of see how popular it is and just decide then if we want to expand it. It would be kind of like, basketball, how many can make the team, or, we'd like.
How do you decide who gets to play and who doesn't? I mean, who do you turn away?
Would have to be a coaching decision, I guess, so,
That'd be really hard.
yeah.
And some kids, I mean, the games that they presented to us, I mean, there's a lot of variety in these games. So there's gonna be some kids that are gonna key into certain games and other kids that are gonna key into the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's chess and then there's racquetball. Well, those are 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. Some kids are gonna wanna play chess and some kids are gonna wanna run around and play soccer, like they call it. So, you're gonna kind of play on each other's strengths. And you may have a team of chess players and you may have a team of arcade players.
So how does that limit your player? How do you tell people you're not?
See, I think it's gonna expand your players.
I think so. I think what Jason's trying to say is you're gonna have a group of 5 kids playing chess, and they're not gonna be forced to play Call of Duty or whatever if they don't wanna play Call of Duty. So you're gonna have 5 kids playing chess, you'll have 5 kids playing Call of Duty, you'll have 5 kids playing Overwatch, I think was one of the games they played. There was like 10 different games.
So instead of having an A team, a B team, and a C team, like basketball,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a chess team, a racquetball team, and an Overwatch team.
Yeah, yeah,
But you could still end up with 20, 25 kids,
yes.
and then that many more wanting to join next year.
What's the name of that league? I was gonna try to look it up to see
So
the
what-
different games.
So what do you do if you have that many kids?
I have unified esports. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
I think that was the company.
I mean,
Yes, we'd have to see if we got. the
With
problem.
sports, we don't cut anybody. Nobody gets cut.
I think what he's saying is if there's 8 different sports and let's say we have 7 computers available, that's 56 kids conceivably that can play the sport with just 7 computers.
Right.
So I don't know that we even have a sport that 56 kids
No.
play.
I wish we did.
Yeah. Just very
I'm
new.
I'm Googling that just to see. Oh, I think you're right. So League of Legends, Rocket League, Fortnite, Super Smash Brothers, oh, wow. Mortal Kombat, yeah, there's,
Some of those we may want to stay.
yeah, I agree. And this may not be the right one, because I do remember,
The games I have are Overwatch, NBA, 2K, Madden, Minecraft, Warrant, Call of Duty, Rocket League, Hearthstone,
this is
CS,
definitely not.
GM, and chess. Those are the ones that are available.
Okay, so back to the time frame. If we continue to discuss this and push it out another month and then make a decision that just kind of worried, or what's our drop dead date of, yes, we need to do this? Obviously with the lead times of the equipment, we don't know that.
Right.
Unless Ryan did discuss.
Was concerned, I mean, he was, saying the sooner the better, but we'd also like to have a chance to set it up, and have, time for the coaches to figure it out and work with some of this.
And I'm gonna say there's a slight chance in today's society that the kids playing the esports might know more about it than the coach that's gonna be coaching the esports, so.
You're right. Yeah, that's something.
Again, this is in a discussion item, but, it's up to the board's discretion whether we want to let it soak a little bit longer or if we want to move forward. Or
I'm
if there's
personally
more
ready to
questions.
move forward, myself, I'd like to hear anybody's objections to moving forward, other than the amount of kids that Pat's concerned about.
And where the money's coming from, because it's different than what we thought.
He had put a quote in there several months ago that had this, it was roughly this amount.
Would you
Any
need-
thoughts?
Would you need different furniture, or, because I'm thinking big gaming chairs,
Um,
but surely not that.
Yeah, no, some gaming chairs would be great, and we talked about that, how we could build that after we see how popular it is, but they could use regular chairs too.
Like maybe some corporate sponsorship, local businesses
Yeah,
that can
that's a
have.
good
the-
idea.
Help build a locker room, that'd be great.
Could have
Corporate
the,
sponsors, help build a
yeah.
locker room.
Joe's Car Wash gaming chair, if you wanna sit in that one, or
That's a good idea.
sponsor the chairs.
That go well in the school. Don't think I want to. But thanks for the offer.
Yeah,
Mill Creek chair, we got some ideas.
I think it's a great opportunity for kids. I'd like to see us eventually get there, and I don't know, helps drag it out, so.
I'm gonna be devastated if we drag our feet and realize that we can't have this by the start of school. next year is what I'm concerned about. And I know we have a lot of time, so I don't wanna just keep pushing this off. So if we need to have a work session, or we need to ramp up the, obviously we need to know the lead time of the equipment. If they tell us, and that's a variable, it's a moving target, obviously. I didn't look at the breakdown, but I have the video card with the crypto stuff's going right now.
It's fun.
I'm just concerned about the cost. It seems like an awful lot of money to spend on extracurricular activity. And I haven't really had a chance to look at, where we are financially. That's where I'm at.
And Darcy, did you say that we were gonna take like windows out of the general fund? And we
Yeah,
actually
Oh.
gonna use ESSER for that and then
And then
use,
use capital outlay, yeah.
so switch that.
Oh, you mean the operating system windows? I thought you had mentioned like the windows, like windows, like you're looking
Well,
through?
your house, your, air conditioning unit.
Oh, okay.
Physical windows.
Windows.
That's what I was thinking.
Not OSs.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you could split the operating system of this, like the Windows 10
Yeah, no,
operating
you
system when you said.
spend for capital outlay, you
Well,
can
that-
use
That
those
doesn't really
reserves
solve the problem.
and then have the
So
funds
it
available.
would be kind of like using ESSER, but we're just.
Well,
voting.
I mean, you're just putting a new name to it, you're still using funds that, if you use the Windows, or whatever, the ESSER for the Windows, then you're
Right.
money ahead, because that was free money.
I feel like an idiot now, but we're talking about two different windows.
Yeah.
I think maybe we ought to have a work session on this, just to, if we want to maybe plug it into the work session.
I was gonna say, it sounds like we got one on the horizon anyway, so. maybe-
Just that, and that would give us time to get the lead times established, and maybe the new board members can, it'd give Darcy time to prepare how we can fund this, move the,
Sounds good. So again, look for an email. It's a work session. Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, we'll move on to the geography curriculum. And Dr. Kern,
That's me.
good thing you're here tonight.
Yeah, I know it. So, we have updated our social studies curriculum, at the high school, and we still need to update geography. So geography is our last social studies piece. And we're just updating, so that would make us, HMH for the whole school.
Any questions on that? So the reason for just the one bid, obviously there's other vendors out there that have geography curriculum, but the main
Right.
reason is get us all kind of in one shop.
Yeah, we're just updating rather than, looking for a new.
then I think that the updating what we currently have is obviously, it's cheaper than if we went to a competitor and then started over with them as well.
And we've also, since we have, the dashboard already for the other pieces, there's no new PD, and all the kids are already loaded, it's a lot easier to use.
And so is that action, we don't really need to make an action item on that, it's more of a,
We can, if the board feels like we want to take action on it tonight, we can. Dr. Kern would probably appreciate that, but we don't have to either. If we want to let it soak for another month, we can.
again, what's the deadline on that?
We'd like to use it in the fall, so if we could have it before summer, it would be great. So the teacher that teaches that can have access to that.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time, because there's not a lead time on this like esports, it's more,
Right.
For sure by next month, probably is an answer. You'd want to answer by next month for sure,
Yeah,
get all
yeah.
of your
I mean,
different
sooner we
services,
can get it
have
ordered,
people look at it, yeah.
better, so we'll have it. And it's a 7-year thing, so they'll have access, online access for 7 years, they'll have 7 years workbooks, and then of course the textbooks.
I don't see a time constraint on the quote.
yeah.
We need to real quick. Let's-
And I was looking, there's no sales going on, that would be, they're not gonna high pressure sales this if we make a decision tonight, we get 10% off. Okay,
Well, They
this-
should love us, because we have a lot of HMA stuff.
I know we keep talking about ESSER funds, but I like free money. We use those funds to buy some textbooks earlier for our language arts and that stuff. Is there enough to do
So
this?
we were able, I believe, to do the online portion.
Right.
Pay for part of it with that, and we could try to do that.
Does this
Okay,
have
I
an
could
online
go through
portion to it?
Yes, yes. And you'll see on the quote, the online portion is a chunk of it, so.
Hopefully we don't end up there. Any other questions on that? Again, discussion item, don't have to have action, choose that one thing. Now's the time to ask questions, and if we want to let it soak till next month, get your questions together and send them to Dr. Kim. That it? Okay, so, our first action item, here we go. Board officers and committee assignments. So it is our job to, every year, to nominate somebody to be board president and board vice president. We got several committees that we need to make sure are filled. Again, we need to, it'd be nice to have board representation on each one of those committees. Maybe a couple board members, don't want to exceed the over three, yeah, you can have three, just can't go over that. So, now's the time that we do that, so. If there's anybody that has interest in board president, or board vice president, or anybody wants to make a nomination, now'd be the time to do that.
I nominate Jason Newberry as president.
I'll second that.
Okay? Got a motion, nomination, guess it's a nomination, and a second on the floor, so all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. Okay, need a vice president.
I nominate Deanna Garver for vice president.
I second.
Got a nomination and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. I apologize, I should have asked for discussion on that. A little late now, but if you got a problem with any of those, please let me know.
Talk about you guys in front of me.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, so now committees. So let me see if I can find a list.
I've got them here. I would, if you, they're in the board briefs or the, from Adam.
Yeah, behind you as well.
Or behind us. So, I would like to stay on the facilities committee.
I'll join you on that.
Perfect.
I'd like to go on the facilities too, that'll give us three, because I don't want policy.
More the merrier.
I would like
You
to.
don't want
I don't
policies.
want policies.
I heard that.
Last minute.
Oh, just kidding.
I would like to be on negotiations just for a change of people.
You want to be what?
On negotiations, I mean,
Okay.
you've been on it for a really, really long time and that we've been doing great, but maybe you need a break and a new phase.
And I guess I'll take on the technology too. I've kind of been on that as well.
I can't read it. That's a restructuring and what's the last one, food?
Food service.
Mr. Farler, are you getting all this?
I'm getting it down, and Dr. Curran's writing it down as well.
I like to do negotiations, and I'll do the boring, I'll do policies.
Okay. I'd like to do policy too, and restriction.
So.
I'll do restructuring. Jump right in there, Brandon.
How did you say
What does
restriction?
that, does that say restructuring? What's that say?
Restructuring.
Restructuring.
Okay, I would like to be on that.
I'll do food service.
Man, my name's not up there at all, I'm liking this.
Neither's Brandon's. Come on, guys.
I'll do
Oh,
personal
you are? I'm
also.
sorry. I told you I can't see any of that.
So,
I need somebody on accreditation.
tell me then, I'll do that.
You will? Yes.
And,
I'll be with Jason on accreditation.
Okay.
I'd like to throw on to negotiations for one more year, and then if everybody's comfortable with me being one of it, then I would right off in the sunset.
There you go. Your stay.
Looks like we,
I can want food service, give me a second.
awesome. And I guess I would, go and phone on technology if needed.
I will.
Okay, thanks, guys.
So can I ask you to send that list out to everybody afterwards, so everybody knows what we're responsible for? Some of these, for the new board members, some of these committees meet very rarely, others of them meet a lot. And some of them meet just like burst, like you meet like, it seems like we're meeting like every week, multiple times a week on negotiations for just a short period of time, and then it's not. So, if you have issues making some of those meetings, I understand. We all have our other lives outside of the school board. So just communicate that and we'll do our best to cover the need. Awesome, thanks for everybody stepping up on that. Now, do you have any administrative reports? Do you want to add to their wonderful reports that we received? All right.
Jason, I got a question on, last month's administrative report on the technical. And Tom kind of brought it up with it's actually $229,000 for the Chromebook. By reading this, it said, we were approved for the money, but the application was denied.
Well, that was just a technical error, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
So, we had to get everything moved over from being under Wendy, now it's under Daniel, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's good. We got that finished up last week, so it should be fine.
Why from Wendy to Daniel? I'm just curious.
She was probably the administrator on it.
And since she's no longer here, it switches over to someone who's still with the district, and so.
So you didn't
It
have
was
a
a
problem?
grant, right? Wasn't it a grant? So-
Yeah, it's the emergency contingency fund, the ECF.
But why not to the person that took Wendy's place? I'm just curious, because that would,
Because we started the process before Darcy was here, and so Daniel was like doing it, and then it's kind of like one of those things where they keep telling you, fix this, fix that, but we had Daniel in there for a while.
okay.
Good question, Chris.
Well, I'm not done
Okay.
on this. So it's my understanding on this that we didn't have an ECF number or I think it's case number, and that was the holdup on this.
We had one, but it was, what was the holdup with it? It was not a working number anymore, so I think like Raj, before, it was under his name, and we hadn't needed to use it for so long, so it was still under his name. So we had to switch all of that, and so Wendy switched it to her, trying to
When
get this done.
did this take place, that Wendy switched this?
When we first applied for this, Wendy changed it to her.
When was that?
Gosh,
I can try and pull up the form that I have, see if that'll give us a date. You want me to do that?
Yeah, I'd like to.
so that was our mistake, was putting it under.
Because basically, we're looking at 6 months into this, and we still haven't got an approval on our. And I'm just wondering why it's taking so long, why did it take so long? And who was following up to make sure that this was being taken care of?
Well, Ryan was good at following up. He was awesome at that, and so he kept kind of checking to make sure, and then they would come back and have us make changes.
So where are we at in the process right now?
So Daniel got a go-ahead that we're all good, right?
Yeah, I was told last week that we were good. And that
Okay.
we've signed up. And basically, Chris, where we were was, so I had an account, but what hadn't been done was the district account wasn't synced up with mine. And so they basically weren't connected. Now they're connected.
So I guess I have another question. We took the 229,400 out of our bank to pay for these Chromebooks, but wasn't there an option on this that, and I think it's called SPY, where the vendor could have went right into the contingency fund and they would fill out the paperwork, so that way no money would have been coming out of our account?
And I have no
I
idea.
think it's called Bear is what we did, but SPY is the vendor would have done all the paperwork instead of us being out $230,000 waiting for it to come back to us, which we lost the interest on and all that. And I know it wasn't your call, but my question is, why would you do that?
As far as me going with me or not?
No.
You weren't involved in that.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, you were involved.
I think this is out of my
But
league,
It's not
so.
to you, I'm just trying to figure out the reasoning why we didn't let the vendor who were getting the Chromebook fill out the paperwork and get reimbursed by the emergency contingency fund. Why did we decide, I'm just, not you, I just need to know why at the upper level we decided to take money out of our account and lose the interest and this and all that, instead of letting the vendor do all the legwork, because we would have already had the funds. I get it, it's approved to us. I understand that. And
But
I
how
know
would this
the
be
ball's
any
starting
different
to
than,
roll.
how is this different than any other year where we just pay for them? We've always just paid for them. We've
That's
never,
my question.
so I guess
My
what's,
question is, why did
we
why
essentially
are we
paid for 'em.
deciding, when we could have had the vendor do the legwork and then get the money, and then we keep our money in capital outlay or wherever it came from? That's my question overall.
So that's definitely a question that I think we can follow up on, try to see if there's
absolutely.
another option. Maybe, and you know, what's done is done, necessarily on this one, but maybe there's an option
Going
forward.
further, or forward,
Choose a
you know,
different
Chris, the-
option.
why, you know, I'm just trying to understand the thinking of why you would take money from your account when the vendor could go right into the fund and do all the legwork, instead of now all of a sudden you were involved in it, trying to get the ECF number and that.
Well, and I was just sorry to talk over you. I was just gonna say the letter that I have from Wendy was sent August 11th, 2021.
So we started August 11th, and now we're in January, so 6 months that we were denied on the application. So that's a half a year that we are still waiting to get into our bank the $230,000. That's all I'm saying is,
Right.
I don't understand.
Definitely
The
something to
reasoning.
look out for the next time, that's for sure. Good info. Anything else on the administrative report? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't, the reports were great, but I'm just wondering if we could ask for, like in the reports, to put more information, more data about test scores and, you know, how their MTSS is working, how students are moving from tiers, you know, is that being successful? What, you know, kind of like what you're talking about. Just a simple report, maybe 3 times a year when in spring, January, and then this April or May when you give the final one, just more information. So I always go back to the one that Ann did with her sticky notes one time.
Yeah, I remember that.
She had, I mean, I understand it because I've been there, but it really explains it. Now she had the, I can't think of, tier 1, 2, and 3, and the sticky notes, how many were in, you know, in the whole thing. Some were at the bottom, like tier 3, and when you look at a percentage, it doesn't really show that there was movement because it doesn't show, am I correct? It doesn't show movement from the bottom of tier 3 to the top of tier 3 or bottom of tier 2 to the top of tier 2, which is major if you move, that much. So I think would be beneficial to us to see how, our interventions are working, how things that we have are working. And I'm not questioning the things that you guys have been doing, just to add something like that sometime, how, if that would be okay with you guys? What do you guys think?
Yeah, sure. More information, the better.
I got one more.
Go ahead.
How's the copier doing at the middle school? Are we working through that with the, I heard it was on the fridge at the high school.
It's working slowly. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I heard it was fixed, actually.
I didn't even hear about it because I don't even know that that's a board issue.
It's pretty major when a copy machine goes down, believe
It
me.
was repaired, and then shortly after it was jammed.
Yeah, people were just coming to me asking, and I'm like, I'll ask where we're at on it.
We've had the repairman out several times.
Cool.
And give DOS credit, they've been out when we needed them to, so they're doing their thing. But one of the things that we've been recommending quite a bit is to increase the use on the copy center, which has been a little bit of a challenge in the last week or so. So that did create a bit of an issue, but not to go into too much detail on there, but all year long I've been pushing to use the copy center more efficiently.
Use the what?
The copy.
Copy center.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I'm also deaf and blind.
Any other comments on administrative reports? Okay, so we're moving to an executive session for non-elected personnel. I can have a
Okay,
motion.
who's gonna be the motion person? Tom?
I don't know how much time we need.
We're probably gonna need, I'm guessing 45 minutes.
Okay, I make a motion that we go into an executive session to discuss non-elected personnel to include
Adam Hatfield,
Adam Hatfield on standby.
he's gotta join us via
Okay,
Chromebook or whatever Jen's got worked out.
Google Meet, okay. So include Adam Hatfield on the board for 45 minutes. The regular meeting will resume.
Can you give us a 5-minute?
Yeah, okay, we'll give it a 5-minute break. Good grief.
Or whatever that figures out.
Yeah, we're at 7:42, so we'll need 45 minutes from 7:47. So thanks, Jason. Regular meeting will resume at 8:32 p.m.
Probably halftime already.
There you go.
Is that right?
You ever think about
Okay,
that?
so we have a motion to go into executive session
I did the math on that.
Adam Hatfield till 8:32, to include the old board across the hall, Jen? Is that where we're going? Or are we staying here? Okay, so I got a motion.
Second.
We are back in open session. No action was taken.
I go, they didn't go into executive session for 5 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel.
I'll bump that to 10.
10's fine,
To include,
to include the board and Adam.
Got a motion to go back into executive session for 10 minutes to include Adam Hatfield on the board. Got a second? All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed? Okay.
regular meeting will resume at 7:32 PM.
Thank you, Tom.
8:30.
8:32 PM.
we're back in open session. No action was taken on my agenda. And we are moving on to the consent agenda. Go
Brett?
for it.
Okay. Consent agenda, approve the minutes of the December 13th meeting and December 20th special meeting. Approve payroll and bills. Payroll, $1,312,677.50. Bills, $429,848.60. Transfers, vocational, $50,000. At risk, $200,000. Personnel, approved new hires. Chloe Holman, assistant softball coach, WHS. Mick Williams, ELA teacher, WHS. Emberly Gonzalez, para, Washington. Approved resignations, Jan Graves, teacher, Kennedy. Precious Mraz, para, Eisenhower. Julie Thrush, para, WHS.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Got a motion? We're gonna give her a first second. So, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. Okay. Moving on to board member comments. We are going to start on that end. Brandon,
Well,
throw you in the hot seat.
excited to be here. Hope we can make a difference and work together as a team. Thank you.
Awesome.
So I just want to, again, put a shout out to all the fun little Christmas projects that the elementary schools did. And I guess this would maybe be the time to do this, but I really like this setup, like what we got going here. And I was kind of noticing the projector being behind us and we're blinded by it. And what do you guys think about maybe putting the projector on that wall somehow and making the public turn around to see it versus us?
Maybe it's something we can hit IT up maybe about, see if it's even
I
possible.
mean, I just kind of noticed it's a semi-permanent, and you don't want to cover the artwork, but this is really probably the best meeting area we've had so far. Just kind of,
Seems to work pretty good for us.
it's like we never talk about it. It's like we have the meeting and we can't really talk outside of the meeting.
Right,
So
right.
I like this better than the district office because there's a lot more real estate. It's got room for the public. We can all face the public. But anyway.
Definitely something we can discuss. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love this venue, but I would like to see us get back to central office eventually. It's kind of set up as a board meeting, but if that doesn't work, that doesn't work. And that's a board decision, not a me decision. So it's definitely something we can talk about. So
Work session.
work session. It's getting to be a long work session. Go ahead.
Excited to be here.
All right. Welcome aboard.
I was reading the administrative comment or the reports and about high school, they did the play Clue, that was really good, and then the band and the choir concerts for Christmas, and then I liked Eisenhower doing the adopting the family and buying the gifts. I really like that.
I like that Jean pay $1 to wear jeans.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. I think I said my piece kind of. I think that's it, unless there's anything else for the meeting. Move to adjourn.